to normality, as I call it, back to my monthly events. And look, I have less events this year than last year, not in terms of content, in terms of hours, because I have the commercial summit. And I have to admit, it's taken me by storm, the interest in the commercial summit. I think, wow, because the room I've booked only holds 100. So, look, I didn't expect the response for putting on the commercial summit, which I've had already. Des, I've got Des speaking for myself and Aaron at the upcoming Central London Property Network. Alex, thanks for joining myself. Alex, you've missed a little plug for the commercial summit. My video with Des isn't focused on the commercial summit, it's focused on my Central London Property Network.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking at that event, Brendan.
So Central London Property Network, Des, look, it says in my notes here that you've been working for Legal in General, I would say film industry as well, raising significant funds through the film industry. So you've been networking for the last 40 years.
Yeah, I was regulated for 25 years, IFA since 94, and yeah, networking, putting my own events together, and networking in what I consider to be the places where you can actually find investors.
So you've been networking longer than Ted has been around. So, yeah.
Well,
so
I am a little bit old, really.
Ted is my other speaker that particular evening. Plus, we have a panel. Delighted in the last few hours that Daryl Knockett has confirmed that he will be on the panel. So we've got Daryl Knockett from Lendwell, Sam Loney from Hilltop Credit Partners. Sam's a very much an investor developer himself, so that's why I primarily brought Sam on board. Ben Richards, who's one of my sponsors from Aura Architecture, EXP Property Investments, and you know Julie a little bit, Julia Wetherill. Really impressed with what Julia is doing. She's already at the commercial summit in March. I said to her, would she mind coming on board on the panel in January as well? So it's a different experience from presenting to being on panel. Des, so we were talking about this. I'm not sure I totally agree, but that doesn't matter. Because we've all got different views, different points.
Opinions, yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Look, you mentioned crowdfunding to me. Your presentation is not specifically on crowdfunding, but raising funds through the crowd. So, in terms of raising funds and being attractive to investors, you've got a real long pedigree. It's not 1 year, 1 decade, it's decades, and it's across platforms. So in terms of trends, you mentioned crowdfunding is becoming more and more noticeable. So,
well, that's right. There's more crowdfunding platforms now on the market than there were years ago, but there is still a huge amount of money that is coming from other countries to the UK. It's been a little bit difficult with what happened with the Brexit situation.
Just speak up slightly.
It's been a bit difficult with the Brexit situation. A lot of people were holding back, not wanting to really go forward, but I think now there's been a massive surge in. I've had inquiries for funding. I've had people that are saying, I've been sitting on the fence, I'm now looking to invest. Only today, a couple of my mentees contacted me this morning and said, I've got a couple of £100,000, I'll be looking to invest in a deal. So, and that's just not one, 2 or 3 of the people I've been mentoring have all been actively looking for investors, and they're now looking for quality developers to put their money into projects.
So just to go on a tangent in terms of your film industry career, have you found it useful not just to be pigeonholed as a property investor, property financier, raising funds for property, but you've got that knowledge base through the film industry as well? And some of those people in the film industry may also be property investors, but we may not see them at property events.
Well, absolutely. I mean, really, there are lots of places where you will go and find money. You don't necessarily, I'm sorry to say, Brendan, you don't necessarily find them at property events, but you get the knowledge at the property events. There are places that you will find investors, and I'll be sharing some of those tips at the event on the 30th. But you do find that when you're raising money, it doesn't matter whether it's a film, charity or property, people have got money and they're not getting good returns in the banks, putting it into property is always a very solid return, as long as it's structured in the right way.
So in terms of my events, Des, I know you were at the National Development Summit last weekend. What did you like about the National Development Summit, apart from myself being there?
Well, the education you get at the summit, if I go back to last year's event, I met 3 or 4 people at the summit that it takes time, people get to know you, but the 3 or 4 people I met at the summit, I've actually done a bit of business with those people. So by meeting them at the summit last year, it took a bit of time, but now I'm engaging with those people, and I wouldn't have met them if I hadn't have come to the summit. So it doesn't happen overnight because people like to build relationships, but being at your event, you will see quality developers. And
Do you think partially by you being at other events, not just the National Development Summit, you bump into them again and again, and that really does help as well? Because I know your profile is not online, it's offline.
That's right. I like to keep a little bit of a low profile about what I do, although I'm on Facebook quite a lot.
You're not necessarily speaking a lot at events, are you?
No, I'm not speaking at all the events I go to. I like to go to lots of different events. I know quite a few of the people in the London Property Network, but I go to a few other events as well. Then I go to other events that are non-property related, where you can find investors.
So people listening to this, Des, now, you can find my event through eventbrite.com. It's fairly easy. It's Central London Property Network. It takes place 4th Thursday of the month usually. For January we've had the 5th Thursday, just to give me a break from the summit. What I found last year was literally summit finished, 4 days later I had an event, or 5 days, and that was too quick, so that's why I've delayed it slightly. So Des, in terms of takeaways, how do you research what events to go to?
Well, I think for the last 5 years I've attended quite a lot of the London property events. So obviously when you look at the speakers, you know who you want to go and see. You always have quality speakers at your event, but then also sometimes it's good to events that are not in central London, to go out of London, and then you can meet some people.
So let's just expand on that thought for a moment, and I promised Des it would be a short video. It's a point another financier said to me, and I have to admit I'm slightly biased and constrained with time in a way, and I spend most of my time in networking events inside London, ideally within the Circle line, to be fair. Why do you think it's a good idea for people to look outside of London as well?
Sometimes there are some opportunities that just outside the M25, and obviously meeting people out of London, you can then also tell them about what's going on in London. But there again, there are areas that are 3 hours away where there's great growth. Bristol, Southwest, a lot of people, a lot of the city workers like to actually have their holiday homes in Cornwall, Devon, Plymouth, and there's been some great growth in those areas.
So look, I look forward to inviting Des along to speak on Thursday. As I say, Des does not speak at every event. It's very rare to see you speaking. Certainly I've never seen Des speak, but I've met Des a number of times, and really delighted to bring 2 different parts of the equation together, Des and Tej. So Tej does things completely different, built his profile online, and that's really how Tej has, created influence, raised funds as well. Of course, he is co-host of PPA Knightsbridge as well now. And Des, although we say Des is not prolific on social media like Tej, you are on social media, for example, Facebook. I'm
on LinkedIn now. You've made me go a bit more active on LinkedIn in the last 3 months. I do post where I am.
Not Instagram though, yeah.
Not I am on Instagram, but I don't post on it so much. But my wife does a bit of that. So You know, we host an event ourselves, my wife and I, but Facebook is a great medium of getting your message out there. And I think a lot of people meet me via Facebook and come up and say hello to me, especially at your events. I met a few people recently that I hadn't met before, and they met me on Facebook, and now I've met them at your event.
So look, I promised Des. I'm saying Des now.
Ted is half
Des.
my age, I think.
Yeah,
yeah, it would be good to see how he does it as well.
So I look forward to seeing you this coming Thursday evening, and I am open to speakers going forward. Not for the commercial summit, because principally for the commercial summit I've got to find how I can put all the speakers into one day. And again, it could easily be a 2-day event. Alex, massive thanks for joining myself on that commercial summit, being one of the exhibitors, and massive thanks Des for taking time out today, and also to yourself, whether you're listening live or not. So not giving any financial advice about property, seek your own financial advice, but if you want to find a great networking event, one place to be this coming Thursday evening is the Central London Property Network, which is sponsored by a crowdfunding platform actually, Crowd with Us, or Architecture, the solicitors, medium size, one of Fletcher Baker, and another prop tech company called Connection as well. So I know you can only see half my head.
I'll be giving away a lot of tips about how I have raised a lot of money, and I will also be giving some networking tips on how to network at property events, because I think a lot of people are very young, inexperienced how to network at property events, so I'll be sharing those tips as well.
So massive thanks for joining myself. Massive thanks, Des, as well. Thank you.